Good evening and welcome to the Selmon Extension Virtual Town Hall, February 2019. My name is Sue Sharzan and I am the Director of Communications and Public Affairs for the Tampa-Hillsborough Expressway Authority. This is our fourth virtual town hall and I'm so excited to tell you about the Expressway Authority and what's happening with the project. Tonight we'll be talking about THEA in general, who we are, how we are funded, and some of the community work that we have done in the past. And then we'll move on to a general description of the project, including a new animation video. Then we'll finish up with an update on what's happening with the construction phase of the project. First, some housekeeping. You should see the presentation in the middle of the screen. You can enlarge the screen by clicking on the maximize icon on the right of the slide or by dragging the bottom right corner of the slide. If your screen gets stuck or frozen at any time, simply hit F5 or the refresh button on your browser. Make sure that you have the latest version of Flash. If you need to install Flash, please do so and reboot your computer. At the bottom of your audience console are multiple application widgets for you to use. A copy of today's presentation is available in the resource list widget in what looks like a green folder. If you have any questions during the webcast, you can click on the Q&A widget and submit your question. Please hold your questions until the end of the presentation. I'll hopefully answer all your questions as we go through the presentation. If you still have a question at the end of the presentation, we will keep the Q&A area open until all of the questions that have been asked have been answered. There are a lot of people watching and listening to this presentation, so please be patient if we don't get to your question right away. If for some reason you get disconnected and are unable to log back on, don't worry. A recording of this virtual town hall and the Q&A will be posted on our website, selmonextension.com. Again, this entire presentation, the slides, the audio, and the question and answers will be available on the Selmon Extension website next week. Finally, we would be happy to present to your homeowners association at any time. You'll find contact information on our website, selmonextension.com. I wanted to start the presentation with an overview of the tolling agencies in Florida. There are a lot of toll roads in Florida, and in fact, there hasn't been a new road built in the last 20 years that isn't a toll road. There are currently 7 toll operators in the state with total annual revenues of around $1.8 billion. There are 5 regional toll authorities: the Tampa-Hillsborough Expressway Authority, that's us, the Central Florida Expressway Authority in Orlando, the Miami-Dade Expressway Authority, the Leeway Authority in Lee County, and the Mid-Bay Bridge Authority up in the Panhandle. There are also 2 state agencies that have tolling authority: the Florida Department of Transportation, or FDOT, and Florida's Turnpike Enterprise, the Turnpike. So exactly what is THEA and how are we different from the Turnpike or FDOT? We are an agency of the state created to build and maintain roads in Hillsborough County and any county that borders Hillsborough. Although we are an agency of the state, we have to follow all of the procurement rules and obey the Sunshine Law like any state agency. We have a local board, so that allows local authority. We have a 7-member board. 4 are appointed by the governor and confirmed by the Senate. 2 are elected by the voters of Hillsborough County, the mayor and a county commissioner, as well as the FDOT district secretary. FDOT and the Turnpike are state agencies with headquarters in Tallahassee. THEA is financed strictly through the tolls we collect. We receive no tax funding, and the tolls that you pay on the Selmon Expressway stay in Hillsborough County. FDOT and the Turnpike put all of their tolls together and then redistributes them throughout the state. Thea owns 4 properties, primary of which is the Leroy-Selmon Expressway. It runs for about 15 miles from Brandon to Gandy Boulevard in South Tampa, and with the extension project, we will be adding about 2 more miles. Brandon Parkway and Meridian Avenue are feeder roads for the internationally award-winning reversible express lanes of the Selmon Expressway. In addition, Brandon Parkway and Meridian Avenue are multimodal as they have bicycle and pedestrian paths. In fact, I think that Meridian Avenue is the best-looking road in downtown Tampa. We also own the Selmon Greenway, a 1.5-mile urban trail, mostly in the shade of the expressway, that runs through downtown Tampa from the Riverwalk on the west to Ybor City on the east. As a local authority, we are part of the community, and part of our mission is to give back to that community. Some of the projects you see here are the Swan Avenue Underpass. We cleaned and painted the walls and pier columns, added a coating that will make it easier to get the graffiti off, and installed a great deal of landscaping, lights, and a bigger sidewalk for pedestrians, strollers, joggers, and bikes to traverse this walkway under the overpass. The Brandon Tower artwork is a 16 by 6 foot feature displaying a painting picked by the Brandon Arts Council. For Frames on Franklin, which is on Franklin Street across from Camel's, we partnered with the City of Tampa and Tampa's Downtown Partnership for an art project that features Tampa Bay artists. We also partner with the city to light the Selmon Expressway over the Hillsborough River. If you've ever been on the Riverwalk at night, you know that those bridges look very cool with their changing lights. Our last public art is right outside our building with our Tampa Play mural by celebrated Tampa artist Basque. And finally, the Cutfila Memorial Dog Park, honoring a true hero, Deputy John R. Cutfila Jr., who gave his life to save another from a wrong-way driver on the Expressway in 2016. I just wanted to give you an idea of what the Expressway Authority is and what we do for the community. And now, on to the Selmon Extension. As you all know, Gandy Boulevard is also US 92, and it's on the state's strategic intermodal system. It has 4 closely spaced intersections with high turning movements at each intersection. Gandy Boulevard carries both regional and local traffic, and the direction of the traffic is equal, meaning there is as many people living in Tampa and working in St. Pete as those living in St. Pete and working in Tampa. The extension is basically a ramp, providing a queue jump between Gandy Bridge and the Selmon Expressway. The extension goes from just east of the Gandy Bridge to Dale Mabry Highway and the Selmon Expressway. Gandy Boulevard is about 1.9 miles, and with the on and off ramps at the east end, the total project length is about 2.5 miles. The people who will use the extension will be regional travelers. Getting these regional vehicles off of Gandy Boulevard will allow for better traffic flow along Gandy Boulevard, including those turning from side streets onto Gandy Boulevard. With less commuter traffic on Gandy, it will be easier to get to and from the homes and local businesses along the Gandy corridor. The extension preserves the choice of a driver who wants to stay on Gandy Boulevard. If a driver needs gas or wishes to visit a business or works and lives in the Gandy corridor, they will still be able to use Gandy Boulevard just as they do today. Let's talk about some of the details of the project. The bottom of the bridge is 30 feet above the existing road. Typical downtown bridge structures are around 17 feet. This helps keep the cross-corridor visibility on Gandy Boulevard. In other words, if you're on Gandy Boulevard, you'll be able to see what's on the other side of the street. The turning movements that were on Gandy Boulevard at the start of our project will remain. While we may need to make modifications during construction, the turns that were there when we began will be put back at the end of the project. The extension is 1 lane in each direction. We estimate that approximately 40% of the traffic on Gandy Boulevard today is regional traffic. That means that we only need 1 lane in each direction to handle that volume. The construction on Gandy Boulevard is happening totally in the median. While this is great for businesses, we aren't closing any business driveways. It is a tight working space. So please, if you're driving Gandy Boulevard, don't speed and watch out for our workers. Our contract calls for no lane closures on Gandy Boulevard or the Selmon Expressway during the morning and afternoon rush hours. Typically, the work along Gandy Boulevard is being done at night and on weekends. The work on the interchange is being done during the day. The Selmon Extension Project is funded completely by the Expressway Authority. No tax dollars are being used. It is funded with toll revenue and bonds, and our debt is not state debt. The toll collected on the extension will help pay back the bonds, and the cost for the project is expected to be $230 million. The extension project did not acquire any right-of-way. No property purchases were required from any businesses or homes. The toll for the extension will be 94 cents for SunPass account holders. The immediate community and region will benefit from the increased ability to move goods and people around the Tampa Bay region. The project will provide better travel times and safety in the Gandy corridor, and it will provide a major evacuation enhancement for both South Tampa and Pinellas County families. And all of this is completed without taxpayer dollars. We put together an animation of the extension, so let's look at that now.
The Selmon Extension is a key component of Tampa Bay's transportation system. The extension will complete the Selmon Expressway's uninterrupted connection from Brandon across Tampa to the Gandy Bridge. The extension will consist of an elevated expressway in the median of Gandy Boulevard, with ramps to enter and exit the extension just east of the Gandy Bridge and at the intersection of Gandy Boulevard and Del Mabry Highway. Traveling east from St. Petersburg, drivers can choose to stay on Gandy Boulevard for local destinations or enter the extension via the on-ramp to the left. Once on the extension, eastbound travelers have the choice to exit at Del Mabry or continue on to the Selmon Expressway towards downtown Tampa. The bottom of the extension structure is 30 feet high, approximately twice as high as a typical bridge design. This maintains sight lines for businesses and cross streets. When the extension is complete, the current turn lanes will remain as they are today. Pier design, decorative lighting, and public art opportunities are part of the project. Eastbound travelers along the extension have the choice to exit at Del Mabry or continue on to the Selmon Expressway. Travelers along Del Mabry will be able to enter the extension via the ramps just north of the Gandy Boulevard-Del Mabry intersection. Traveling west on the Selmon Expressway, drivers can choose to use Gandy Boulevard or to continue on to the extension. Trucks will be allowed on the extension. This will provide a direct route for cargo and a safer experience for drivers on Gandy. The extension will also serve as an evacuation route in case of an emergency.
I know that the video is pretty quick, so we'll show it again at the end, along with a new video. And of course, it's always available on our website, selmonextension.com. Now let's talk about what it takes to build this project. Each of these items you see on the screen is being worked on as we speak, but they all have their own timeline, and all the pieces must fit together into the total timeline of the project. So let's start at the west end of the project, near the Gandy Bridge. We needed to move the lanes farther apart to make room for the extension ramp. At the east end of that ramp is a mechanically stabilized earth wall, or MSE. After the wall, the extension is on structure, or on the piers, until it reaches the Expressway on the east end. At this west end, the crews have finished moving the lanes farther apart to make room for the extension ramp. Final paving and realignment will happen towards the end of the project. And we have also finished that MSE wall at the west end. As the construction travels along Gandy Boulevard, we will drill for the foundations, then pour the foundations, then piers, and then install the segments, or the superstructure, on top. The superstructure is just another name for the roadway. While all this is going on, we began, and we are continuing, to make segments in our casting yard. Our casting yard has been hard at work getting the segments ready to go. A segment is basically a piece of the roadway on top. We put the pieces together and post-tension them. If you think about the Skyway Bridge and its yellow cables, instead of putting the cables on the outside, we are putting them on the inside of the extension. We will need 744 segments to complete this project, a massive undertaking. Our casting yard is located off Causeway Boulevard in Tampa. You might see a segment being transported along the Selmon Expressway. In total, this project will use over 7,800 tons of rebar, steel. That's including the rebar in the segments, the piers, and the foundations. With the MSE wall and ramp completed, we are able to set up staging areas for the segments at the west end. The segments are transported from the casting yard and temporarily stored in the open area at the base of the ramp. The segments are then lifted with a special crane and moved to the top of the ramp so they can be placed on the gantry. The huge yellow crane lifts the segments and places it on the launching gantry. Each segment weighs about 72 tons. That's 144,000 pounds each. The yellow structure that is parallel to the roadway is the launching gantry. The segments are placed on this gantry and then launched or moved along the gantry to a pier. As you can see from the photo on the right, the launching gantry is huge, and there are several piers already up at the west end of the project. The weight of the segments is supported by temporary towers and the gantry system while they are being tensioned together. You'll see these towers along Gandy Boulevard as we move the launching gantry from pier to pier, from west to east. We recently had a huge milestone happen with the Selmon Extension Project. Here's a quick video of that accomplishment.
Faster and more efficiently, so I think it's really good for our area.
What you see behind me is the first segment. Wasn't that a cool little video? We are so excited that we have several segments placed on the launching gantry already and are in the progress of tensioning them together. Once a span of segments has been completed, the gantry system will advance to the next span along with the temporary supports. The extension is really starting to take shape. Now let's talk about the piers. In October of 2017, we held a public contest for the pier design. The estuary design was the clear winner. These are renderings of that pier design. You can also see these renderings on the website, selmonextension.com. And this is a picture of the pier with the design on it. I think they look exactly like the renderings, and of course the color will come later. We will have 55 piers altogether on this project, a little over 30 on Gandy Boulevard, and the rest in the Interchange area. So that's what's happening on the west end near the bridge. We are still working our way east on Gandy Boulevard. We're drilling, pouring concrete for the foundations and piers, and getting ready to place those segments. Let's talk about the construction that's happening on the east end of the project, or in the interchange of the Selmon Expressway and Gandy Boulevard. We are building new ramps, redoing the ponds, and we're working on the interchange foundations for the piers. As one of the last items, we'll place the tolling equipment in this interchange area. I know that the animation video went pretty quickly, and the interchange area is where we actually are adding new ramps. So let's talk about each movement that you can make in the interchange. And again, this can all be found on our website, selmonextension.com. If you're on the Selmon Expressway heading west towards St. Petersburg and you want to use the extension to basically queue jump the traffic lights, you would follow the yellow line onto the extension. The ramp would take you over the traffic exiting onto Gandy Boulevard and onto the extension. Of course, you would also have the opportunity to exit as you do today and use Gandy Boulevard to get to your destination. As you can see by the yellow line, traffic for westbound Gandy Boulevard would go under the westbound extension ramp. Again, for westbound drivers on the expressway, you'll have the choice to continue on the extension to just east of the bridge or exit as you do today to westbound Gandy Boulevard. If you are coming from St. Petersburg, you will have the option to choose to stay on Gandy Boulevard or take the on-ramp to the extension. If you choose to take the extension and want to continue on the expressway, you'll simply fly over the interchange area and join the expressway just past the Dale Mabry on-ramp. The ramps in this picture are for two new movements for Dale Mabry drivers. If you are heading north on Dale Mabry and you want to head westbound on the extension towards St. Petersburg, you would go through the light at Gandy Boulevard and then take the on-ramp on your right to the extension, just past the expressway overpass. See the yellow loop at the top? If you are heading south on Dale Mabry, you would take the on-ramp to the extension just past the railroad tracks on Dale Mabry. Traffic from those ramps will join the expressway traffic onto the extension. Another new ramp will be for drivers who enter the extension near the bridge but wish to go to Dale Mabry. These are people coming from St. Petersburg who get up on the extension but want to get off at the Dale Mabry interchange. There will be an off-ramp at the interchange for those drivers. Traffic from this new ramp will be able to go north or south on Dale Mabry or eastbound on Gandy Boulevard. This will also provide a new exclusive right turn only lane from westbound Gandy Boulevard to southbound Dale Mabry. From eastbound Gandy Boulevard to southbound Dale Mabry. This will help provide better access for our friends at MacDill while improving traffic operations at the intersection. Here's an aerial view of the interchange. A total of 6 ramps will be at this interchange when the project is completed. As you can see, the interchange is a complicated project all on its own. We are currently driving concrete piles at the Dale Mabry Interchange for construction of the new ramps. These piles will be driven about 50 feet into the ground for support, and this is a daytime operation. At the west end, I showed you a ramp with a huge MSE wall. Remember, mechanically stabilized earth. At this side of the project, there are 8 MSE walls of various sizes being built for the new ramps. All in all, we are moving over 300,000 cubic yards of dirt for this project. The old southbound bridge over Gandy Boulevard has been removed and construction of the new bridge is underway. We are expecting a traffic shift for the off-ramp to westbound Gandy Boulevard by early April. This will make room for a large portion of the remaining work to get started. In addition, we will also be revising the railroad crossing on Gandy Boulevard. So let's put this all together. We started the widening in January of last year and began constructing the MSC wall on the west end around May of 2018. Those elements of the project are complete. While we were working on that, in June of last year, we began drilling and doing soil samplings so that we can begin work on the foundations, followed by the piers, followed by the segments. We will be working west to east on the foundation, piers, and segments, and that work will take us until the fall of 2020. We've been casting segments for a couple of months, and we have placed our first segments this month. That's the west end. Meanwhile, at the east end, we began work on the ramps about May of last year and will continue until the summer of 2020. We've been working on the interchange foundations for about 6 months, with that work to be completed around the end of this year. Work began on the ponds last fall and will continue until the summer. Tolling equipment is one of the last items, and it's scheduled to start installation at the end of this year. And as you can see, we are working from both ends of the projects. We have to be constrained to the medium, and we don't shut down lanes during the AM and PM rush hour. All of this, and we are still on schedule for completing the project in the fall of 2020. So the Selmon Extension, built in the middle of Gandy Boulevard, no homes or businesses were taken for right-of-way. The bottom of the extension will be 30 feet above the existing road, allowing drivers to see across Gandy Boulevard. All turn lanes that were there at the start of the project will be put back when the project is complete. All lanes of Gandy Boulevard are open during the morning and afternoon rush hours. Lanes are typically closed from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. The extension is 1 lane in each direction, enough capacity for 40% of the traffic on Gandy Boulevard that is regional traffic. The cost for the extension is $230 million, paid for by the Expressway Authority through a combination of toll revenue and toll bonds, no tax dollars. The toll on the extension will be 94 cents for SunPass account holders, and the project will be completed by fall of 2020. Hopefully, with tonight's presentation, you'll understand the extension project and how complicated it is. The construction of the Selmon Extension is going well. We have over 300 workers in the area all along the corridor. If you drive in the construction area, please know that our workers need your attention. Slow down, don't text and drive, and stay alert. That concludes our virtual town hall meeting number 4. I hope this has answered your questions. As a reminder, this presentation, the audio, and the question and answers will be available on the Selmon Extension website next week. You can also sign up for the newsletter and request a presentation on the website. We're going to play a new time-lapse video and the animation video one more time, and we will leave the question and answer widget open for approximately 10 more minutes. Again, thank you for your time and attention, and I hope you have a great evening.
The Selmon Extension is a key component of Tampa Bay's transportation system. The extension will complete the Selmon Expressway's uninterrupted connection from Brandon across Tampa to the Gandy Bridge. The extension will consist of an elevated expressway in the median of Gandy Boulevard, with ramps to enter and exit the extension just east of the Gandy Bridge and at the intersection of Gandy Boulevard and Del Mabry Highway. Traveling east from St. Petersburg, drivers can choose to stay on Gandy Boulevard for local destinations or enter the extension via the on-ramp to the left. Once on the extension, eastbound travelers have the choice to exit at Del Mabry or continue on to the Selmon Expressway towards downtown Tampa. The bottom of the extension structure is 30 feet high, approximately twice as high as a typical bridge design. This maintains sight lines for businesses and cross streets. When the extension is complete, the current turn lanes will remain as they are today. Pier design, decorative lighting, and public art opportunities are part of the project. Eastbound travelers along the extension have the choice to exit at Del Mabry or continue on to the Selmon Expressway. Travelers along Del Mabry will be able to enter the extension via the ramps just north of the Gandy Boulevard-Del Mabry intersection. Traveling west on the Selmon Expressway, drivers can choose to use Gandy Boulevard or to continue on to the extension. Trucks will be allowed on the extension. This will provide a direct route for cargo and a safer experience for drivers on Gandy. The extension will also serve as an evacuation route in case of an emergency. The Selmon Extension is a key component of Tampa Bay's transportation system. The extension will complete the Selmon Expressway's uninterrupted connection from Brandon across Tampa to the Gandy Bridge. The extension will consist of an elevated expressway in the median of Gandy Boulevard, with ramps to enter and exit the extension just east of the Gandy Bridge and at the intersection of Gandy Boulevard and Del Mabry Highway. Traveling east from St. Petersburg, drivers can choose to stay on Gandy Boulevard for local destinations or enter the extension via the on-ramp to the left. Once on the extension, eastbound travelers have the choice to exit at Del Mabry or continue on to the Selmon Expressway towards downtown Tampa. The bottom of the extension structure is 30 feet high, approximately twice as high as a typical bridge design. This maintains sight lines for businesses and cross streets. When the extension is complete, the current turn lanes will remain as they are today. Pier design, decorative lighting, and public art opportunities are part of the project. Eastbound travelers along the extension have the choice to exit at Del Mabry or continue on to the Selmon Expressway. Travelers along Del Mabry will be able to enter the extension via the ramps just north of the Gandy Boulevard-Del Mabry intersection. Traveling west on the Selmon Expressway, drivers can choose to use Gandy Boulevard or to continue on to the extension. Trucks will be allowed on the extension. This will provide a direct route for cargo and a safer experience for drivers on Gandy. The Selmon Extension is a key component of Tampa Bay's transportation system. The extension will complete the Selmon Expressway's uninterrupted connection from Brandon across Tampa to the Gandy Bridge. The extension will consist of an elevated expressway in the median of Gandy Boulevard, with ramps to enter and exit the extension just east of the Gandy Bridge and at the intersection of Gandy Boulevard and Del Mabry Highway. Traveling east from St. Petersburg, drivers can choose to stay on Gandy Boulevard for local destinations or enter the extension via the on-ramp to the left. Once on the extension, eastbound travelers have the choice to exit at Del Mabry or continue on to the Selmon Expressway towards downtown Tampa. The bottom of the extension structure is 30 feet high, approximately twice as high as a typical bridge design. This maintains sightlines for businesses and cross streets. When the extension is complete, the current turn lanes will remain as they are today. Pier design, decorative lighting, and public art opportunities are part of the project. Eastbound travelers along the extension have the choice to exit at Del Mabry or continue on to the Selmon Expressway. Travelers along Del Mabry will be able to enter the extension via the ramps just north of the Gandy Boulevard-Del Mabry intersection. Traveling west on the Selmon Expressway, drivers can choose to use Gandy Boulevard or to continue on to the extension. Trucks will be allowed on the extension. This will provide a direct route for cargo and a safer experience for drivers on Gandy. The extension will also serve as an evacuation route in case of an emergency.